Hello Year 4 and welcome back to week 6, and this is lesson 1. As you can see, we are moving on from studying the digestive system and looking at different teeth, and we are now moving on to looking at different living organisms, and specifically today we are going to be looking at animal habitats. So what you need to do now is to make sure you have a piece of paper, a pen and a pencil ready for this lesson. If you haven't got one, then pause the video now and go and get yourselves all the stationery that you need for this lesson. Great, now that you've got all your stationery ready, let's begin. So what are we going to find out today? Well, our learning objective is the following. The learning objective is to be able to understand that living things each have a habitat that they live in, and they're able to identify the life processes they carry out in their habitat. So, what is a habitat? Well, a habitat is a place where an animal or plant lives. Just like you have a home or place to live, so do plants and different animals. So it is time for our definition. So you need to copy this down and write it on your piece of paper. So what are habitats? Well, a habitat is a place where a collection of plants and animals live, which provides them with food and shelter. Seashores, gardens and ponds are all examples of different habitats. Habitats can be big, for example a jungle, or very small, for example a leaf. Now what I need you to do is pause the video now, so leave that on screen and write that down in your notes on your piece of paper. Now that you've written down that in your notes, it's now time to describe your habitat. So, what do you have that helps you carry out your life processes at home? Pause the video again and you now have the chance to write down what you think helps you to carry out your life processes at home. Now that you've had a little think about what you have at home that helps you to carry out your process, let's have a look at what that exactly means. Well, an animal needs to be able to carry out life processes to be able to survive in its habitat. And these life processes are the following. They're sometimes nicknamed Mrs. Gren or Mrs. Nerg, and they are the following. We have needs food, so that is nutrition. We have excrete. We have reproduce. We have grow, sense, respire, and move. And all of those signal a living organism. And it's these 7 examples that are needed by each living organism to be able to be carried out in their habitat. Their habitat has to be able to allow them to do all of these 7 for these living organisms or animals to be able to live happily. So it's now time to have a look at some different habitats. And we're going to have a look and see what different organisms live in those habitats and why they might have chosen that habitat to live in. Okay, so let's have a look and see what different animals live in the variety of different habitats we have here on screen. So we have pond, we have a house, we have farms, we have hedges, we have sea, and we have wood. And we're going to begin with the hedge. So the following animals live in a hedge. Can you name them? You don't need to write down their names, just have a quick think. So first up we have the birds. So birds like to live in hedges, so do mice. We also have the fox, and of course on the far right we have the hedgehog. So those are the sort of animals that live in hedges in the countryside. What about the animals that live in or near the sea? Well, we have on the left hand side, starting with the starfish. We also have crabs. We also have, well done if you know what these are of course mussels. And finally, the hint is in their name, it is the mighty seagull, also found living near the sea. Next up, we have the animals that live in our houses. Again, have a quick look. Can you name them all? Starting on the left-hand side, we have a dog, Next up, another very common pet in the house, we have the cat. We have the very cute rabbit and the slightly amusing guinea pig to end the house habitat. Time to move on. These are animals that can be found in a wood. So this is the habitat of a woodland, and we have the badger. We have the fox again. So the fox can be found in woods. It can also be found in hedges. We have the owl, and we have the rabbit. Again, wild rabbit can be found in woodland. The next habitat to look at is the pond. Have a quick look at the top, see if you can recognize any of those organisms. We have on the left hand side the frog, followed by the fish. Well done if you got this. It's the pond skater, and of course the common duck. All of those are animals that use the pond as their habitat to live in. Next up, we have animals that live on a farm. On the left hand side, we have the pig. We then have the cow. Then we have lambs, which come from sheep. And of course, we have the cockerel, which is part of chickens as well. Okay, now these are all animals that live on a farm and use a farm as their habitat. And finally, year 4, before this lesson ends, you still have a couple of things you need to do. First of which, there is a video for you to watch. So you can head to Microsoft Teams in a second. You can click on the link in the class instructions, and it will take you to a good BBC video all about badgers and their habitats. Once you have watched the video, there is also a worksheet you are going to need to complete. And again, the instructions for that will be found on Microsoft Teams and on the Word document of the worksheet itself. So make sure you watch the video and complete the worksheet before the end of the lesson. Well done, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Goodbye.